Hello, my name's Nigel Cox and I'm Senior Horticultural Lecturer at Bridgewater and Taunton College. Well, we're coming to the end of week 3 of the lockdown, and today I thought I would talk to you about getting plants for free. There's nothing better than that. And one of the best ways of doing that at this time of the year is by taking softwood cuttings. Now, a lot of plants at this time are throwing out lots of young leafy growth, and they're full of energy, and it's this time that they're the easiest to root, and this is a way of propagating and multiplying a lot of your plants. Examples of plants that you could use, particularly things like fuchsias, pelargoniums or geraniums, lots of other plants that are growing fast at this time of the year. Now, the best time of the day to take your cuttings is early in the morning, and make sure you choose young healthy growth, and ideally growth that doesn't have yet a flowering bud on it, because you want all the energy to go into producing the roots. You go out, and the equipment you'll need: a pair of secateurs to cut them off. Later on you'll need a knife for trimming, obviously a label, a dibber, the old faithful dibber that I'm using regularly, a pot to put them in, and some growing media, compost. So earlier today, and it's a beautiful sunny morning, I went out and I collected my cuttings. Now, they are very tender and they're going to lose water very quickly. So as you cut them, pop them into a plastic bag and seal them up. Maybe just put a little bit of water in it as well, until you get them to the time when you're ready to put them into the pot. Now, you need to take a cutting maybe 4 to 6 inches long, and when you take the cutting, you cut it just above a pair of leaves. Where the leaves join, we call that the node. Cut just above. When we actually put it into the pot, you'll then trim that to just below a node. So here I have my cuttings. Now I've got a chrysanthemum. Makes very good cuttings at this time of the year. If you had chrysanthemums last year, they're coming back, nice young fresh growth. This is Philadelphus, and you can see here this young stem. Now, a softwood cutting is literally very floppy, very soft, but it's oozing full of energy. And the one that I'm going to use is this salvia. This is a beautiful salvia called Amistad, A-M-I-S-T-A-D, and I thoroughly recommend it. It's a beautiful dark purple color in the summer, absolutely stunning. So we have our cutting. And so you can see here we have a whole series of leaves. Now this here, where those leaves are joining the stem, is what we call the node. Now I am going to then trim that. You can trim it with your secateurs or a knife just below that node. Now the reason I'm choosing that point is because this is where the hormones are concentrated. The most hormones that are going to then produce the roots from this cutting. Now I then, using fingers or a knife, trim off those little pieces at the bottom, so you end up with a very clean node. Now I don't want too many leaves either, so I'm going to take off the next set of leaves as well, and there I have my softwood cutting. You can complete that with all your cuttings. Then you take your pot, fill it with a cuttings compost, ideally a peat-free compost, and don't forget you're going to label this afterwards. Tap it down gently, and then using your dibber you will then make a hole on the side of the pot into which you are going to insert the cutting. Now some people will use a hormone rooting powder at this stage, not particularly necessary for these young vigorous cuttings. They'll do it on their own accord. And then pop that in, maybe 1 to 2 centimeters into the pot, on the side of the pot, and then firm it down. So you can see here we've put the first one in. So I'm going to carry on with the other ones here. So I'm going to put, you can put all sorts of different things in the same pot if you like. So I'm going to put Philadelphus in here as well. Again, trim below the node. Again, take these leaves off. You may not want to take the whole leaf off, so you can just trim a part of the leaf off like that. So there we have another cutting. That one can go in next to that one. Firm it down right against the side of the pot. It's another Philadelphus cutting here. So again here, trim below the node. Take off these leaves. We won't need those 2 leaves. The more leaves you've got on it, the more it's going to lose water. So there we go. Well, I've just done 3 for the moment. I'll finish potting this off later on. So just gently tap it down, give it a little bit of water, pop the label in. Here I've got a bamboo label, so they're saves using plastic labels. And then these need to be kept out of direct sunlight, and ideally, if you've got a propagator, put them in the propagator. Remember, these haven't got any roots, so they're going to lose water very quickly. So the best thing to do here, if you haven't got a propagator, is to get a plastic bag like this one and pop it over the top, and then just seal it with a rubber band, and then you've got your own perfect little mini greenhouse. Now these cuttings will take probably 2 to 4 weeks to root. It rather depends on the plants, and then you've got a fantastic set of new plants. Now don't be in a hurry to pot them on too quickly. Wait until you see a lot of root coming out of the bottom of the pot, and that way you know that they're rooted. And avoid the temptation, it's a real temptation, but avoid the temptation to tug at them and pull at them to see if they've rooted. That's a sure way of making sure that they'll die. So here we have it. We have our cuttings ready, all ready to go into my greenhouse or onto a windowsill, but make sure we want plenty of light, but not direct sunlight, because that'll scorch the leaves. So there we are, cuttings. It's a lovely sunny day again. It's Easter weekend. Stay safe, stay at home, make the most of your garden, and here we are. There we have our cuttings all ready to grow.